In this next video, I'm going to talk about the inventory detail report. In Rick's Enterprise, when you do any kind of receiving, we've gone away from receiving journals, or when you go to return something to the supplier, we don't have those types of journals that automatically go to your report history that you can print out. What we do have that you'll use is the inventory detail report. So to get there, you're going to click on Reporting and Inventory/Purchase Orders and Inventory Detail. You can also get there through the Inventory tab and Stock Maintenance and Inventory Detail Report. So either way will get you to the same exact report. So this brings us into the Inventory Detail Report, and like any other report that you go into, you can name this report, select your criteria, and save it. So then you can come into this report at any time, click on the magnifying glass icon, look it up, and select any saved report and run it. Just makes it really easy for you so you don't have to remember what you selected. If you don't want to do that, you can just leave this blank for the report name. You could even name it and not save it, so that way when it brings you to the report history, you can see that name to easily tell which ones are which on your report history. You also have the output method, which the default is always PDF, which is just the report view. You can do it to Excel, like an Excel spreadsheet, or comma delimited, but the default is PDF to view it as a report. You also have the two different tabs, Report Options and Report Criteria. First one that we're going to go over is the Report Options tab. So the first thing is, which period would you like to view? So if you click on the drop down to the right of sales period, these are the different options that you can look at. Week to date, previous week, month to date, previous month, season to date, previous season, year to date, previous year, last number of months, last number of weeks, last number of days, selected dates, yesterday and today. So probably the common ones that you'll be using are today, yesterday, and selected dates. For example, if I wanted a list of everything that I had returned to a supplier today, then I would just choose today, and then I could get a report for that. In this example, I'm just going to choose previous month. The next thing is, what fields do you want to include? So if you want to include costs and pricing, go ahead and check that box. Next area is report type and sort by. So the report type, I can sort by size detail, SKU summary, class supplier and PO summary, or store summary. So size detail is pretty detailed, where it's going to give you the actual quantities of each size. Then I can go to sort by, and how do I want to sort it by? Do I just want to sort it by SKU number, or do I want it to list, here's this class and the SKUs within the class, or sort it by supplier and the SKUs within that supplier, or sort it by PO, the purchase order? And I'm going to choose supplier. Then to the bottom right, this is one of the main sections. Which types of inventory changes do you want to view? So say I did some returns to a supplier today, and I want a report to be able to print out and put with that for my records. Then I can just click on Return to Supplier, and that's going to give me any returns that I did to my suppliers, whether I did it as of today or a certain date range. If I wanted a report on my receipts that weren't on a purchase order, I could click on Receipts without purchase order. If I wanted to do, if I was multiple store and I wanted to have a report on my transfers out or my transfers in, or both of them, I could do that there. My in transits, which would be if I transferred something from one store to the other and the other store hadn't received them in yet, those would be transfers that would be in transit. They hadn't reached their location yet. And that would give me an idea of what transfers are out there that are still in transit. And then if I wanted to do like a purchase order receipt, so just anything that had been received on a purchase order, I could click on Purchase Order Receipt. In this example, I am going to do receipts without purchase order. Then I have my report criteria. And this is where I can be selective if I need to. So if I just wanted to know anything that I had received for Nike or New Balance, I could just put that supplier there. That way I would just get a report for anything that I had received for that supplier. If I wanted everything that I received that day, then I would just leave this whole screen blank. But if I wanted to be selective, I could be selective by supplier. I could go down to even SKU level and just put in a particular SKU or SKUs. If you're doing multiple criteria, like if I was doing a couple SKUs, I would do the SKU and then a comma and the SKU. So it's separated by commas if you want to do more than one item. By classes, if I just wanted to do a specific class, I wanted to do anything that I had received in men's footwear, I could check, what class I want, and I could be selective that way. If I have any product custom entries, I can select it that way. I can also exclude criteria if I wanted everything but a particular supplier or suppliers. Same thing goes for all of these others that have the exclude checkbox. And the other cool thing is if I'm doing it based on items that were received on a purchase order, if I'm just doing it for a particular purchase order, I can put that purchase order number in. That way I only get a report for items that I received on that purchase order for today or for a particular date range. You set your date ranges on that report options tab that I showed you. So this is basically how you can get your receiving journal on things that you received today, things that you returned to the supplier today, things that you transferred out today, whether it's just today, yesterday, the last week, the last month. However you want to run this report, this is going to give you a lot of great information where you don't need those journals anymore. You can just come to this inventory detail report and get the information that you need, whether you need to run it. Sometimes people need to print it out and put like with their packing list or put with their return information, that they're sending it back to the supplier. So when I'm ready, I'm going to do this report. In this example, I'm doing it on the previous month, and I only want to look at the items that I received that weren't on a purchase order. And on the criteria, I'm just doing it for everything. I can do add, job, and run. So you just select however you want on the different criteria, add, job, and run, and then this will bring you to the report history. Then I can click on the inventory detail report, and I can click on open, and this will bring up my inventory detail report. So it'll show you, what supplier, it'll show you the SKU number. So by doing the size detail like I did, it's going to be real specific. It shows the supplier, it shows the style number, shows the store, the date, the size, the width, what it was. In this particular case, we were doing manual receipts, the quantity and the cost, and then you have SKU totals as well. Then you can go to the very end of the report, and that's going to give you a set of totals for everything. So you can tell, exactly what you did. Total receipts, total units, and total cost. And that gives you a report, whether you do it based on today, yesterday, or a particular date range. And that's how you run the inventory detail report.